RCI, food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International for Thursday, August the 7th, 2025. It's program number 1422 of the Lunchroom, and I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, of course, in addition to radio, 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website. It's rcistlucia.com. You're streaming there live. And you can also reach us on our Facebook feed. You just have to search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International on Facebook. And please be sure to like and share that link as well with your friends and family. In a little while, in just a bit, we're going to be discussing the youth economy. And we're going to have a representative of the youth economy coming in the person of the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Brian Vidal. He'll be our special guest here today at the Lunchroom. But first, I'm going to send out some birthday greetings for today. First to Mr. Ezra, the Fun Machine Augustine, and happy birthday to you, Ezra, and we're hoping that you're having a wonderful birthday celebration. And also birthday greetings going out to Mr. Finton Lebrun. Happy birthday to you, sir. Hoping that you're having a wonderful day. I'll look back in time in terms of some history for today. Back in the year 1955, the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Company, the precursor of Sony, began selling its first transistor radios in Japan. And in the year 1990, on this day, the United States deployed troops to Saudi Arabia, beginning what is known as Operation Desert Shield. We now head across to our dish of the day.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also black glassware and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. And of course, just a very short dish of the day as we are expecting our guest. He's just setting up as we talk. And that is the matter of the VAT policy measures that were announced by the government that in fact have taken effect as of August the 1st. And of the anticipation, of course, is that there should be some measurable reductions in the prices of certain goods in the supermarkets in particular. And in fact, a list of those items were in fact being circulated earlier on, indicating and listing the various items that should in fact be theoretically coming down by way of these VAT reductions. Of course, this is in the second measure that the government announced in the budget address of 2025-2026 earlier this year. One being the removal of service charge, that 6.5% service charge on all items that were price controlled. And in addition to that, now seeing the reductions regarding the number of food items. Now, you'd also recall that somewhere in 2022, the government actually also introduced reductions or VAT freezes or waivers of VAT on building materials, so the likes of lumber and plywood and galvanized steel, cement, things like certain other mountings and things for home construction. Those were included as part of an effort to give some reprieve to persons who were engaged in construction, and of course in the construction sector on a whole. And in fact, they did also extend the that VAT waiver, and I think it's going to be up to next year, May. So good news for those who in fact are engaged in construction. But as I mentioned, in addition to that, now the reprieve on food items is certainly what many individuals have been looking forward to in terms of heading to the supermarkets. And we actually do have a clip, and I just want to make sure that that clip is lined up to also take in just a little bit. That is from the island's Director of Consumer Affairs. But before that, just to quickly go through that list of items: chicken parts, backs and necks, wings, fowls of species like turkey, so all parts of turkeys, that's included in there. Certain types of fish like herring, mackerel, things like non-salted and salted butter, cheese, potatoes, whether fresh or I suppose chilled, and like potato fries, that type sort of thing. A very long list of vegetables, things like tomatoes, onions, garlic, cabbage, carrots, cucumbers, celery, pumpkin, okra, split peas, chickpeas, red beans, different types, kidney beans, black-eyed beans, all manner of legumes, lentils, pigeon peas, sweet potato, arrowroot. And the list also goes on, things like avocados, also some fruits like your usual mangoes, oranges, lemons, limes, watermelons, pawpaw, ginger, turmeric. Then, of course, a number of items for cereal, oats, cereal grains, coconut oil, margarine, chicken sausages, luncheon meat, canned corned beef, sardines, tuna fish, what else is there? Cocoa, pasta, other cereals as well, foods obtained by the swelling of roasting of cereals and other products, biscuits, other vegetables, prepared or preserved, jams, fruit jellies, and so on for infant use, nut pastes, peanut butter, active yeast, inactive yeast, baking powders, tomato ketchup, and food preparations for infants, so infant foods included in that list of items. Now, of course, there has been concern as to whether, in fact, those will be passed on to the consumer. And we do have a clip from the director, a very short clip from the Director of Consumer Affairs, Miss Wendy Frederick, speaking to that matter of working with the public and the role of the Consumer Affairs unit in monitoring the rollout of these measures. Let's take a listen to that clip at this time. Okay, no, it looks like we don't have the clip, but maybe at some point we will probably try to come back to it. But basically, Ms. Frederick just indicating that the department is going to be monitoring the efforts. Do we have it? No, not yet. That they will be monitoring those efforts at trying to ensure that those items are in fact the reductions in the prices are in fact realized, because of course we do know that sometimes businesses engage in take the opportunity. If they think there's a reduction, then they think, well, you know what, we'll raise the price and then we'll offer the reduction. So definitely, if you have concerns regarding that type of thing, you've been monitoring the prices of certain items, as they have also have undertaken to do as well, you can in fact make complaints to the Consumer Affairs Department, and which are in fact already out and about collecting their field data island-wide. But if you do want to call them, you can do that by calling into 468-4226. or 468-4229 or 468-4239. So it's 468, that's a government number, and then 4226, 4229 or 4239. Those are the numbers for the Consumer Affairs Department. And of course, you can also just dial the general government number and ask to be patched into them as well. And you can also send in an email to consumeraffairs.commerce@govt.lc. Again, I'll read that just one more time: consumeraffairs.commerce@govt.lc. So that's our dish of the day. And when we come back, we'll be speaking with the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Economy Agency.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses, Grozile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939.
This has been The Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. And today, very pleased that we have in studio with us the head of the Youth Economy Agency in St. Lucia, of course. It was an agency created by the current administration geared towards empowering young people and young youthful entrepreneurs in particular. And a lot more than that. And in fact, to tell us all about the agency, how it has been performing, its successes, its challenges, and what to look forward to from it with the youth economy. I'm so very pleased that we have the CEO of the Youth Economy Agency, the A, right here with us, Mr. Brian Vidal. Brian, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, St. Lucia, and thank you very much, Alex. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Let me just, tell St. Lucia about the wonderful works of the Youth Economy Agency. So as you would have indicated, of course, the Youth Economy Agency really represents a revolutionary idea and a manifestation of the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister. Now, this is significant because we have to understand that all economies face the basic economic challenge of scarcity, meaning you have unlimited ones competing against limited resources. Now, this is even more profound. One second, this is a young beneficiary. Okay,
so we're going to set him up in just a bit. I'm sure we can do just that, but we'll just hold on, but continue though, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I mentioned the idea about scarcity, and this is the challenge is more profound for a developing country like St. Lucia.
Right.
So just imagine you have an administration that decides, to allocate a certain amount of monies, which almost 20 million EC, right, geared specifically to create a niche for the young entrepreneurs of St. Lucia to flourish. Mm-hmm. I mean, that speaks volumes.
Now, Brian, bring us back a little bit, because sometimes we quite often think about like the current period and we take these things for granted. What existed before the youth economy? Because, for a very, very long time, you and I were relatively young. I don't know if we fall within the category of youth again, once you're over the age of 35, but we're still pretty young. And I knew for, being part of the National Youth Council, Students Branch, and there's always a lot of talk about youth, but in terms of the actual space, that existed prior to establishment of the youth economy, what was there really for a young person in terms of starting up a business? Right. Or
So to the best of my knowledge, you had some programs, but it was not consistent like what the youth economy is offering. So you probably have grants offered probably in isolation, but right now you have a dedicated agency that is there to cater to the needs of young MSMEs, and by MSMEs I mean micro, small, and medium enterprises. Now this is absolutely critical because you see the youth are regarded as the agents of change, the innovators. So it is critical that we take care of our young person. So to have this kind of agency specifically targeted to the young persons, that is absolutely critical. And I want to add further that when you review the research from the World Bank, the research says that when you have MSMEs who receive access to finance and training and, this capacity building, the probability of these enterprises becoming more successful increases significantly. So it's not just about giving money, but, giving the training and, giving hope.
Right.
So that is absolutely critical. And I want to add that I'm of the firm belief that right now is the best time to be a young person in St. Lucia, regardless of any of the challenges that young people face. And I want to make that abundantly clear. There are opportunities for all young persons.
It's an interesting point that you're making, because we're exposed to so much of the negativity, particularly with respect to crime, the issue of young men, and we know the challenges, the fact that, you leave school. Sometimes you're dealing with issues of dropping out of school, and these young males have expectations for themselves. The pressures that are placed on themselves as well as young males, and people expect that they will have to provide for their families, support families, and it's a big challenge for them to do so.
Definitely.
And I'm saying so as well within the background, and maybe you can tell us about in terms of what you're seeing in terms of who's coming to the youth economy as well. We're seeing a lot of young females taking up the opportunities. They're the ones grabbing the training courses. They're doing every other possible thing. They're at the NSDCs and every training program and grant providing program, taking up these opportunities. But the young men tending not to be able to they don't engage as much, it would appear, with these institutions and opportunities.
Right. Luckily, we have a young man here today. So
indeed, I think that was very deliberate of you.
that was a plus. Actually, I invited a young man and a young lady. But the young lady, she was scheduled to work, so she could not have made it.
Okay, so there was gender balance in your attempt.
Yeah. Gender balance is very important to us at the youth economy.
Yeah.
So in terms of our beneficiaries, what our data shows is that 55% of our beneficiaries are women, and the 45% are men or males. Now, what we find is that a lot of times the training, you find that the women outnumber men, which is consistent with our beneficiaries, because, again, women outnumber men. So it's like men are, you could say, at a risk, I would say.
Yeah. I was familiar with a program that the Taiwanese were actually rolling out, and I think they were trying to train upwards of 360 young persons through that program, and about 80% of the participants were female.
Yeah.
So you're actually theoretically you're doing a little better now in terms of what you're saying, in terms of young men. I guess they're hearing about perhaps the free money available, the free financing, and so that's certainly a big attraction for some of them.
Well, yeah, definitely. And it's not, the passion we are seeing in the young persons, I don't think it's just about the money. I think it's just an incentive, but the money is just, to give them this opportunity to invest in their business. If you follow the track of a lot of successful entrepreneurs, whether it be the founder of Facebook, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they will tell you that one of the things was that their family members, give them some form of injection into their business. Right. Now, in St. Lucia, it's not often that you have a family member that could tell you, hey, here is $5,000, there is $40,000 to invest in your business. For somebody who makes a lot of money, $5,000 may be seen as minuscule, it's nothing. But for a young man who is probably just left Sir Arthur, he's a carpenter, he has a lot of manual tools and he wants power tools, $5,000 goes a long way. we have assisted persons to purchase a pressure washer that has, lead to significant revenue generation. Right. And there is one case I want to mention in particular. We have a young man who was making blocks the traditional way. And what he told me was that, he would make about 150 blocks a day, but he would start from, let's say, 6 o'clock and finish at 5. Now, with the intervention of the Youth Economy Agency, we gave him a block processing machine. And now he's able to start his operations from 9 to 2. Right. And then he makes about 200 blocks. So just to show you.
Working less hours, greater productivity.
Yeah, that's just output. To show you. So right now, he's constrained now his space in terms of he's able to make so many blocks now that he doesn't have space to store all of them.
Right.
So these are the kind of success stories. And the other thing too is that he was able to hire additional young persons. And we have seen that consistently throughout. Whether it been tree trimming, you assist young persons to acquire a chainsaw, and they're able to expand their business, bring on board other young persons. They will have experience, the challenges, that they face, and they try to make it better for the young persons. So we have seen the success stories. We have seen persons who were unemployed for our intervention. We give them training, equipment to start their business, and they're employed. They're employing other young persons. So we have seen those things. Riyadh is testament to this also.
This is fascinating indeed, and Riyadh, I think, has certainly made a name for himself in terms of the products that he produces. And I've met him a good number of times already, but let him maybe just introduce himself and tell us about his experience as a young entrepreneur in St. Lucia.
All right, so my name is Riyadh James, co-owner of The Local Bites. The experience as a young entrepreneur in St. Lucia, what I can say is that it has not been easy. Mm-hmm. However, with the assistance given from the youth economy, it has made it a lot more, how would I say, manageable. Mm-hmm. As Brian would rightly said, you have an idea. You want to formulate it into something that will be lucrative, something that will generate some kind of revenue for you. But the startup is not there. But because of the youth economy, you're able to get a startup, a startup grant, you're able to get machinery. So if you look at the block making, the block making machine, for example, it cut his time by, how would I say, half.
Right?
I can use myself, for example. So imagine, starting a little business, coming off the normal 9 to 5, and standing there manually with my mandolin and going through the process, slicing, So I would stand there sometimes until 12 in the night and then fry for the next 2 hours, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Now tell us a little bit about that journey, because for people who don't know what you produce out there, tell us what you produce.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit as well, was this, when you started it off, was it a gig? Was it a side hustle? I mean, what drove you into that particular enterprise?
Okay, so again, co-owner of The Local Bites. The Local Bites, we make chips and salsa using our local produce, breadfruit, dasheen, plantain, sweet potato. So, everything locally. And we do other stuff, but it has to be upon request. Those products that we spoke about, they actually tested, so we know that we could work with them. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was a thing. It actually started during the time of COVID. Some persons may say thank you to COVID because persons opened up their eyes. Persons were home and there was nothing to do, and friends would say, because I would do it for events. Like if I have a catering event, I would do that. So persons were like, you can make me a little batch. If you make it, I will buy it. Making a little batch, it started taking off because persons had really nowhere to go, nothing to do. So they would call, can I get some chips? So you start doing a little 5 packs here. Until social media, it went out of control, and then that's where we got to the point where you're standing here going through the process of making those chips. It takes me about 3 hours to go through manually every piece you have to touch. But with the assistance from the youth economy, we're able to get motorized equipment. So now it has a motor behind it that it cut the time. How would I say? The gentleman benefits from the blocks, but I would say it cut my time by maybe 500%.
Wow.
So the amount I would take, I would probably produce in the 5 hours. I'd probably be able to do it in maybe 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm. 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 So you can see then the power of technology, the power of
most
getting the access to finance that really then transforms the ability of the entrepreneur to be able to change, and bring on new things, I suppose. I think you're probably using your additional time now for additional pursuits.
So basically, not just additional pursuits, but to make the product better. So now you have more time. You spend less time on production. Now you focus on quality, maintaining quality, and developing other products. So when we initially started, we only had one salsa, which would be the regular salsa.
Right.
But now we have mango salsa, and then we have the seasonal salsas that we have the pineapple salsa as well.
How has the response been in terms of getting into the market?
It has been somewhat of a challenge. Unfortunately for us, we had an accident in 2024, the beginning of last year, and that put us like years behind. So because of all of that, we were behind, but we're not giving up. Again, with the assistance from the youth economy, we have some equipment currently as we speak that we're putting through the testing phase to come out with a bang.
Right.
Yeah.
Brian, speak a little bit as well, as Rahid catches his breath, the importance of taking risks on young people, because quite often people think, boy, why would you waste time? Young people, they're not reliable. They may not stick to, have that stickability to continue through with whatever they're doing, and then just business in general is risky. You're effectively taking on a lot of risk.
Yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of the times the adults, right, we forget, we were once young person. So, we tend to forget that, as if, a young person is supposed to be perfect. At the youth economy, we are not here to paint some kind of perfect picture. We understand there will be challenges. We don't expect all young persons to have successful businesses. We understand there will be failures. There will be some dropouts. But the argument is that if we could get probably one founder of Amazon, one Elon Musk, that speaks volume. So we just have to be, mindful of that. And as an entrepreneur, taking a risk is key. I mean, when you have your 9 to 5, you're getting your salary every month. But when you decide, to go to become self-employed, you have to depend on your sales. You're not sure. Sometimes one day you may make $1,000, another day you may not make anything. So it's a risk. And I want to add further, when persons, a lot of the times, persons tell me that, when they heard of the concept of the youth economy, right, they thought it was like a nonsense, like a pie in the sky, like, they could not understand it.
Right.
But it's only now, as they've seen that the impact, then they say, but okay, that is what the Prime Minister was talking about. So the Prime Minister himself, he took a major risk because a lot of persons could not understand the concept of a youth economy. So, so kudos to the Prime Minister and his team for having that kind of, vision, because, just imagine you allocating funds to an initiative that persons are doubting, but it's something that is needed. And what I want to say to you is that, as I mentioned,
and I think it's fair to say that this is the first time that we've seen this extent of sort of a vote of confidence in young people.
Exactly.
To say that you're actually putting $20 million, that's a lot of money in our space, in our world, towards youth entrepreneurship, youth businesses.
Yeah, of course. And like I said earlier, remember in the context of St. Lucia, we have high rates of unemployment among the youth, and we have a rise in youthful population. Now, when you watch the crime statistics, what do you see? Young persons are both the victim and the perpetrators. When you have idle hands, idle hands are the devil's workshop. So, we have to be mindful of that. And as I mentioned earlier, is that when you strengthen capacity within the MSME sector, particularly among the young persons, what you are doing is that you are increasing the probability of those businesses being successful. All right, and the youth economy, there is really this need for it, because when you speak to the young person, they will tell you, boy, you don't know what you'll do for me, we have received voice notes from young persons crying, saying, you don't know what you'll do for me, and so when you hear these things, that is, it gives you that kind of drive, and that passion, so these are just some of the things that we have seen.
Now, gentlemen, we have to actually take a break at this time for our weather report.
Okay.
So we're gonna do that break. Of course, we've been. Have we still in the dish of the day? We finished that already? Yeah, we did. Okay, good. So we're going to take our break for our weather, and then we'll be right back to continue this conversation on the youth economy.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with these tile stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And the forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east, northeast, and near east for near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour. Weather partly cloudy skies becoming cloudy at times with a few brief showers. Forecast for the Lesser Antilles. Generally cloudy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the southern Windward Islands, and areas from the south. Elsewhere, partly cloudy, becoming cloudy at times with a few brief showers. The tropical weather outlook. Moist and unstable conditions over the southern portion of the Lesser Antilles will cause cloudiness, showers, and isolated thunderstorms over that area during the next 24 hours. Low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will cause brief showers over that area. During that forecast period. A tropical wave located over the central tropical Atlantic has medium chance of developing into a tropical depression later this weekend or early next week as it moves gradually west-northwestward near 12 miles per hour or 18 or 19 kilometers per hour.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Girl, I've been so stressed searching for the perfect tiles to complete my home.
Really?
Yeah, it's always the same white, beige, and gray tiles with the style stores. Like they're all buying from the same place. You're the design expert. Help me, please. I'm fed up.
What are you looking for?
Something different. Something that says Caribbean beauty and suits my personality. Something vibrant and classy with a little razzle-dazzle.
Okay, Ms. Razzle Dazzle, I know just the place. Island Style Tile and Bath, they're my number one store for everything tile. And with their new In Living Color collection, you'll find the most gorgeous styles to give you that splash of Caribbean flair you're looking for.
That sounds perfect.
I'll even take you myself and throw in a free design consultation.
I'll never say no to that, sis. I can't afford you anyway.
Visit our Island Style showrooms in Castries, Rodney Bay, and View Fort, or call 450-452 or 453 Tile. We'll help bring your vision to life in living color.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. On our plate today is the youth economy, and we're speaking on that matter with one young entrepreneur, Rahid. Rihad. What's the last name?
James.
Rihad James, one of the beneficiaries of the Youth Economy Agency, and as well as the CEO, Mr. Brian Vidal. Now, Brian, you've been around since March of 2023, from what I'm seeing here on your website, and so you've been in business for about 2 years now.
Yeah, roughly, yes.
Tell us about, and of course, we should also mention that you're effectively like a statutory agency. You have a board.
Yes, we do.
You have oversight. You've got to report. So there's of course accountability, and you're established via an act of Parliament.
Yes, the Youth Economy Act. Yes.
As well. Tell us about your successes thus far in terms of the numbers of in the program.
All right. So thank you very much, Alex. Again. So of course, at the Youth Economy, remember we exist for us to enable young persons, to transfer their hobbies into entrepreneurship and really to expand their business. And if you are interested in starting your business, again, you can also reach out to the Youth Economy Agency. So for us, what we have noticed is that in terms of the total number of applications we have received or interest in the Youth Economy Agency, to date, we have received about 4,161 requests for assistance, whether it be via grants and loans. And to date, and I brought in my figures just to make sure I give the right information and accurate information. To date, we have assisted 1,910 persons via grants and loans, and that is to the. In addition to that, we also provide.
So 1,900.
1,910,
nearly 2,000 people.
Yes, for in terms of access to finance for loans and grants. In addition to that, we have trained over 900 young persons. Right. We also have, like I said,
and when you say training, what kind of training are you speaking
in
about?
various disciplines, from bookkeeping, digital marketing, customer service, investments. Because what I said, business planning, yes. So a lot of them. In addition to that, we have.
Riyadh, you've been part of some of those trainings as well. Yep.
Very much so. Remember, I said earlier, colleagues, that it is not just about access to finance. So you have to, while you have to give persons access to finance, you also have to ensure that persons know how to manage those finances. They know how to manage their business. Because at the end of the day, we want to develop the holistic entrepreneur. So it's not just about throwing money, as some persons want you to believe. It is a structured program. It is serious business. We are established by an act. There is accountability. As you rightfully said, we have a board. We have a board of directors that is led by the chairman, Mr. Thomas Elias. I mean, we have reporting responsibility to the board, to CDB, to the government of St. Lucia. So this is serious business there. We do our audit. So this is serious, right?
So you're not just a financial institution. That's another major.
No,
you're a lot deeper than that in terms of the relationship that you're building with these individuals.
Very much so. It's a hand-holding process. If I could just go through the process. So a young person would apply to the Youth Economy Agency. Then we would contact the young person, schedule an interview. After the interview is conducted, we would submit an application to the internal committee for review. And then we'd also do a site visit to ensure that the young person is doing what they actually say that they're doing. So we'd visit the business.
So there's some verification, validation of what the activity is.
And then after we do that, then you get the you get access to the funding. And in addition to that, we offer training, as I mentioned earlier. Now, the training is really driven by the young person. So if, let's say, during the interview, we notice, like, if we ask you, how much money do you make on a monthly basis or on a daily basis, and you cannot tell us, we'll say, okay, this is a good person for bookkeeping training. So simple things like, for instance, how do you know how much to price your items? How do you know, how do you sell? How do you market? These are the kind of questions we would ask you, and then the training would be directed in that regard. In terms of training, like I said, we'd have trained over 900 young persons. For the mentorship, over 126 young persons. So far, in terms of direct training and access to finance, we could estimate that we have invested over $9 million in the youth.
Wow. So your direct investment.
And that does not include administrative.
This is not an admin cost of the agency. This is actually through training and grants and access to finance, whether grants or loans.
And then what we do we also order the items on behalf of the client. So we don't just give you a check and say, okay, Calix, there is $1,000, go and buy what you want.
Right.
the argument is that while some persons will take the money and invest in their business, I mean, life happens. It happens to older persons. You know, sometimes you have $1,000 and you say, okay, this is for me to do X, Y, and Z. Then life happens, and then you end up using the money. So we understand those challenges.
So is there flexibility in terms of what they specifically want? I mean, if they say, hey, I found this on Alibaba, it's going to, this is the cost, you will be the one doing the purchase?
Yes, we'll be the ones doing the purchase, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to ensure, that the money is being used.
Is actually being utilized for the particular purpose.
Yes, because we have to report. We have to know, okay, for instance, we invested $9 million. What is the impact? We have to be able to verify.
What is the range thus far, you would say, of the, in terms of grants and in terms of loans, like individual beneficiaries? What would they normally be getting or in terms of inputs to the business?
Okay, so for the loans you watch a maximum loan of 40,000. For the grants, it's 5,000 maximum, an average of 3,000. So what you generally find is that we like to focus on providing you with the equipment that you need. Mm-hmm. So let's say if you are, a carpenter, we want to provide you with your workbenches, your power tools, and stuff like that. We try as much as possible not to encourage the purchasing of, let's say, ingredients. So let's say if you are into if you own a bar,
right,
we try not to encourage the purchase of like the drinks.
So perishables,
right,
input,
so
those types of inputs you not
right,
really,
yes.
You're looking more at capital expenses.
So, right, if you need, let's say, a refrigerator, mixer, a blender, these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just to ensure that there is a track record.
So that you can, right.
Right.
But you said that you do both loans and grants. So somebody could actually get a mix. I mean, you could actually, if the person says, hey, well, I actually need $10,000, you might provide part through a grant and then the balance through a loan.
So it depends on the needs of the business. So for the grants, the maximum is the 5,000, right? For the loans, the maximum is the 40,000. So you could get both a loan and a grant. However, what is important to note is that for the loans, you have to be able to demonstrate your ability to repay. Because it's not free money. That is that money belongs to the people of St. Lucia. So we have to ensure that it is utilized properly, and you are accountable for it. So it's not just a case, I'm just giving you $10,000 a loan and you don't have to pay it back.
Now, Riyadh, I mean, you've been through this program thus far. How has that experience been? We don't ask too much of your business, but were you a beneficiary of a loan or a grant or both? I mean, and how has that impacted the business?
I could say I'm a beneficiary of both. Yes, it has impacted the business significantly because when we initially started, we started off, and I would take up capital from mine to do, the basics. And that time, starting off, you just have the idea. And then as you go, it's not like, you plan and say, this is what it is. So for me, like I told you, it was just a little here and there. So you start off doing things and then, you're manually doing it. And then you realize, hey, but this is getting more challenging because now you have to put in a lot more effort. And then the grant came in and then now, you could get the equipment necessary to now move you from point A to point B. Then afterwards, you move past that level. So now you move past the grant stage. You've already used up the resources from the grant. Yeah. And then the business now is taking off and you need to grow. So that's where, you now benefit from getting the access to the loans.
I suppose as well, this helps you with as a stepping stone to be able to possibly get additional access from other financial institutions as well.
Yeah, most definitely, because of the grant, we were able to, knock off some of the critical pieces of equipment. So, for example, in the startup phase, we needed to store the raw material. So, like Brian rightfully said, when I got the grant, I think I was one of the first recipients to receive the grant. I could have, go and say, boy, I buy $5,000 worth of breadfruit. That would not be significant because after using up that $5,000 worth of breadfruit, I may not have been able to use up all of that raw material.
Right.
Some of it may have, gone to waste or spoil along the way. But the important thing, the guidance, hey, we got chillers now, we can store, even if I cannot store $5,000 worth, but then I can store for when there is none.
Now, I just want to follow up on another point, though, because, of course, his business is, you could perhaps characterize it as an agribusiness, agro-processing.
Agro-processing, most definitely.
And I'm just wondering on the ag side, in terms of the actual production now, Brian, would you support, say, a young person who wants to get into, maybe a particular vegetable that he thinks is in demand? Would you support things like seed inputs and fertilizers, that kind of thing?
Can I answer?
Oh, okay, sure. If you can answer, sure.
I mean, Brian doesn't even have to be the one to respond to that. I can basically answer to that.
Yeah.
Doing the training programs through the youth economy, my peers would not only be agro-processors. I've met persons who when they do training, like basically fitness trainers, persons who into cosmetology, the nails, the hair, just different things. So it's not limited to agro-processing. And that's one thing I love about the youth economy, because it creates that level of networking for young persons. So the youth economy doesn't have to do that. It creates a level. So now I am in touch with someone who does nails. So even if I have whatever, I can recommend them to this person that, someone who does, how would you call it, fitness training, someone who does cakes and
cake decorating.
Yeah. It's not limited to just.
So it's actually broadened your own sphere of persons who you can interact with, and who could also promote your own business as well.
And then right there within that, we create linkages where, I support your business, you support my business. So
wonderful.
that was. I don't know if that's.
So it's a whole ecosystem of entrepreneurs who can, in fact, support each other's businesses, provide liaisons. In fact, the other question I was coming to ask you, Riyadh, is whether you've been making recommendations to people to seek out support from the youth economy.
I literally, just last week, I asked, to be an ambassador for the youth economy in my community. Because
where is that? Where you come from?
Right in Dennery.
Okay.
I've sent a couple of individuals. Some of them, like everything else, some of them fall through the cracks. But I know for sure that, there are some businesses who have registered for the youth economy and benefited. So not just registered, but they've already benefited from the youth economy.
Now, Brian, one of the things, thanks so much for that, Riyadh. One of the things you hear is that some people just can't believe that this is even real. And I remember this meme. She was a social media influencer. I can't remember her name right now, but she used to do a lot of these really funny videos on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot. And she's actually a beneficiary of it. And she was pointing out that, she heard about this, but in her mind, it just couldn't be. It wasn't really something to take on. A lot of times people don't realize that this is something they can, in fact, benefit from.
You see, generally, there's a saying that when it sounds too good to be true, definitely it's too good to be true. So I understand that, there are a lot of gimmicks and scams all over the place. But I could tell you that I remember in particular, this one young lady came to the Youth Economy Agency, and she was like, I was told if I come there, I will not get assistance. But I said, let me come anyway. At the end of the day, the young lady was assisted. You see, because we also have to take into account there are we have to understand the political climate of St. Lucia too. So sometimes persons may say things for political reasons. I remember some time ago we at the youth economy we temporarily closed our portal. We closed it from the 21st of March and we reopened on the 1st of July. And I mean all over the place that the youth economy is not working now. Now, why did we close? Remember I said that because the youth economy is something new to St. Lucia, we had a case of excess demand. That literally when we opened our doors, there was an influx of applications. You
just said that there were over 4,000 applications. That's a lot of...
It's a lot. So
I'm just thinking of the administrative work to process all of these applications. And
so it's a lot. So, so what we said, okay, to improve customer service, let us just, stop accepting applications. It's a case of, biting off too much and you can chew. So all during this time there, we were actually processing applications. So we never closed. We were processing applications. We just wanted to improve customer service, right? So, but I could say again now, right now the portal has been open since the 1st of July, so persons are free to apply throughout the length and breadth of St. Lucia.
So now, you did mention the political aspects. Now, some people may think, boy, that's a Labour Party thing. Is there any, how is that? Should somebody be fearful that they'll be judged, well, my mother's a flubbo, or I didn't vote, that kind of thing?
So, and that's a very important question, Alex. The youth economy, we are an apolitical organization. We do not ask you who you voted for, who your father, who's your father, who's your mother. in terms of our structure, we received about 88% of our funding from the CDB, Caribbean Development Bank. So we cannot be a political organization, right? I have never received any call from any minister, not even the prime minister, to say, hey, you know what, we are saying this person, give this person a grant, give this person a loan. I've never received a call. And I could tell you, and I want to make this abundantly clear, if I were to ever get a call like this, I would leave. Because I'm a professional, I'm here to do a job. Now, because I'm aware of the political, the political climate in St. Lucia, one of the first things that I did when I assumed this position was that I met with the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Alan Chastney, just to ensure, that, persons who want access to the Youth Economy Agency know that it exists, just to ensure there's some kind of stakeholder engagement, because we understand the political climate. So this is not something about Labour or UWP, it's something for the youth of St. Lucia to benefit.
Now speak to that a little bit, because of course we haven't really heard from Dennery. Speak about the geographic spread of your impact, because quite often people might think, boy, you have to be in Castries, close to the youth economy to be able to access it. I mean, how have you been dealing with outreach, getting around the island, and how has been the spread of your impact geographically?
Right. So in terms of that, what we have done is that, first of all, our application is online, so you could access once you have internet access, you can apply for a grant throughout anywhere in St. Lucia, right? Okay. Now, in addition to that, we noted that there were some persons who were not aware of the Youth Economy Agency, regardless of our strong online presence. So we had what was called an outreach initiative, whereby we went to majority of the districts in St. Lucia. So we went to Ansary, Canaries, we did View Fort, Soufresh, Roselle, so all over the place, just to ensure, that the persons who need access to the youth economy got access to it. Yeah, we also processing applications.
And this is something that you're going to be continuing doing?
Yes,
going
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, in addition to that, we go to the schools, to inform persons about it. We engage with a lot of different stakeholders, just so that persons know about the youth economy. So I could say that our impact, we have touched lives in all districts of St. Lucia.
I want to speak to that a little bit too, because this whole idea of local economic development, and sometimes you have communities, we've heard particular areas are very challenged in terms of poverty, Ancillary, Canaries, Soufre, you hear that quite a bit. Is there any specific effort to try to give perhaps a little bit more in terms of, I won't say lowering the bar, but trying a little harder in some of these particularly disadvantaged communities?
Well, actually, Ancillary and Canaries, that was the first district that we targeted. And you remember there was a time VFOD had some upsurge in criminal activity.
Right.
We actually targeted there too, just to ensure that we had that kind of intervention. So what we do is that as much as possible, we do not turn down young persons. There is no stupid idea. So when you come to us, we sit down and we listen to you to see exactly how we could assist you. So as it relates to that, we try as much as possible to work with persons from all educational backgrounds.
How are you also creating markets? And I mean, that's sometimes an issue. I mean, you might have a good idea. I think quite recently, in fact, I heard of one person who benefited, not from your program, but for the MSME program through the Ministry of Commerce, where he said he's based in Fort Saint-Jacques, but he's doing graphics work, doing decals for vehicles and all that sort of thing. But he's in a relatively small market. But obviously he wants his product to be known, or his services to be available throughout all of St. Lucia. How is that something that you're also working through in terms of, the creation of these fairs, these types of events?
Definitely. We have, normally annually we have what is called like an investment forum, where we bring our different beneficiaries together with potential investors. In addition to that, we encourage networking among participants. We do that training to help persons to market their business more effectively. And we also have different stakeholder meetings whereby we'll bring, let's say, Massy stores together, NIC. So, so our beneficiaries will know exactly, if you want to enter Massy's,
right.
how do you go about doing that?
What are the standards that they have to meet? What are the production requirements?
Right. So we invite Ministry of Health, we'll invite the attorneys, so they could give advice in terms of, what has to be done.
Yeah,
right?
Because you hear that a lot. That part of the challenge of it is the doing of the business. These types of regulatory requirements, compliance stuff that you've got to do. that sometimes people feel is, can be very burdensome.
Well, yeah, you see, what I notice is that if you just tell somebody, hey, you need to get a health card, you need to get approval for your location from the Ministry of Health. If you explain to them the reason why, they are more inclined. So, for instance, let's say when a young person comes to you and you tell them, okay, you know what, you need to register your business. Someone will tell you, why do I need to register my business? But if I tell you, okay, what is the name of your business? So if you tell me your name of your business is John Doe Inc., I could tell you, do you know that if you don't register your business name, I could just go and take your business name. There's nothing you can do for that. So they understand those things. You understand? So that is some of the things. Again, education is absolutely critical. And in addition to that, I want to also mention that I just want to highlight the Republic of China, Taiwan.
Right. Because
they have been assisting us tremendously in terms of assisting our training programs. So, kudos to them for having the faith in the youth of St. Lucia. They are actually assisting us right now in having our websites whereby we'll be able to bring buyers and sellers together.
Yeah, so creating that marketplace,
right? So think of it like kind of like Amazon.
Right.
So we'd have our beneficiaries would list their products and persons can come and register to purchase their products online. So that is what we are in the early stages of that. So hopefully that should be rolled out soon.
Sounds good. I know we've been speaking about a lot of products. We haven't spoken too much about the services yet. And it's a whole other space. But we're already running out of time. So I'm hoping that this is going to become a regular thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we definitely want to meet more of your individuals, your beneficiaries who've actually come out and share with us. Yeah. It could be a success story. It doesn't have to be a success story. It could be challenges and just to learn as to how people are actually growing and experiencing. Trying to set up a business here in St. Lucia.
Well, yeah, definitely. Seeing is believing. So I believe the best persons to really see what the youth economy is doing is the persons who have benefited from the youth economy agency. So definitely.
Riyadh, any parting thoughts from you in terms of what you would like to see from the youth economy and just in terms of your own business?
So basically, I wouldn't even look at my business per se. I would look at the youth economy and the persons out there. So to those listening or even viewing, just take advantage of this opportunity because I can promise you that I benefited and I know that persons can benefit as well. And it's there for the benefit of young persons. A lot of persons, they generally struggle, but the opportunity, trust me, it's there. It's there, so they should grab onto it.
Indeed, and congratulations on the continued work that you're doing in your products. The local bites, indeed. And it's a pretty good product. I've tasted it myself.
Yeah, definitely. I have tasted it myself too. When we have our training programs, we normally try to use our beneficiaries to do like the catering.
Right.
We have persons assisting us with let's say if we have to set up like events management. So we do different things. If we have a young person who needs assistance.
So you really are creating a youth economy.
Yes, definitely. I remember there's one time this young man, he was doing a book launch. And then one of our other beneficiaries was into marketing and event management. She came and she did that setup for him.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that we encourage. But I just want to inform St. Lucia that, and especially the young persons of St. Lucia, that right now in St. Lucia, it is the best time to be a young person. There are a lot of opportunities. So it's just about, understand that these opportunities are available and present yourself. So at the Youth Economy Agency, we are ready and willing to serve you. So come visit us at the youtheconomy.lc or visit us on the Chaussee
27 Chaussee Road.
Chaussee Road and
your number?
We are strategically positioned at the Chaussee Road, to bring in life in this community. Because a lot of times in St. Lucia, we like to stigmatize areas. And I could say, it is working. You could see persons come, they become more comfortable. We work very closely with the persons in the area. So again, visit the Youth Economy. We are here and willing to serve you.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. And of course, we've been speaking to a beneficiary of the youth economy. He is an entrepreneur, the founder of the Local Bites, Mr. Riyadh James, and as well, Mr. Brian Vidal, the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Economy Agency here in St. Lucia. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for a very, very informative program.
Thank you.
And of course, thanks to our listeners. And we do hope that you can join us again tomorrow, God willing, for another program. And we'll catch you then.